Hey guys, Warren Sharp. Going to talk some week 2 instant reactions here. It is Sunday. The games are just fresh. Just finished watching the Seattle Seahawks knock off the New England Patriots in a really good game. Came down to the wire. I thought some things at the goal line there should have gone a little bit differently. I don't know why exactly Cam Newton was being so predictable with that run play at the very end, the final snap of the game. I thought that Josh McDaniels should have had some wide receivers out on the field to keep the defense a little bit more honest, lighten up the box a little bit. Also, don't use motion right to the side that you're going to run the ball to. I think the whole defense, all 11 defenders right there in the box could key into it. Really unfortunate for the New England Patriots with that final play call. I also felt like they should have used a timeout, save some time. Look, whenever you have a timeout left and you have to run 18 yards and you're going down to the 10-yard line to snap the ball, you don't call another play when you get to the 10-yard line at the line of scrimmage and without using the timeout. The furthest distance that offensive line and your quarterback has to run to get set up, you will never run any further in the game. It was an 18-yard gain down to like close to the 10-yard line, maybe the 12-yard line. You need to use the timeout, let your guys get down the field while the clock is completely stopped, have your next play called, and then be able to operate the clock. So I think that was a little bit difficult, but the last play was even worse. But a great game nonetheless. Russell Wilson, absolutely ridiculous. We got some good games in store for us already next week when Russell Wilson's going to take on the Dallas Cowboys. So let's talk about the Dallas Cowboys specifically. A couple things. Number one, I still don't know what McCarthy's doing exactly. Not really a big fan of some of their decision making as an organization. But the bigger thing here is not that Dallas won that game. It's that Atlanta lost it. I mean, how can you give up what Atlanta gave up like they did, and such a big, they were 99% odds to win this game. There's zero chance that Dallas should have come back and won this game. The onside kick is one thing. It didn't seem like the players were coached up well enough as to what to do on an onside kick. It was a very well done kick, but nevertheless, that should not have happened. But the bigger issue here is Dan Quinn is a defensive minded coach. This Atlanta Falcons defense has been terrible for years and years. This team, I'm confident Dan Quinn would have been fired already had they not had Kyle Shanahan in there calling plays and taking him to a Super Bowl and almost winning a Super Bowl. This defense that Dan Quinn has built is horrendous, and there was zero reason that they should have let the Dallas Cowboys back in this game. Shame on them, shame on the coaching staff, but I guess good for Dallas. Obviously, they were able to sneak out a win that they definitely did not deserve to get. Let's turn our sights to another team in the NFC, and that's the Philadelphia Eagles. Philadelphia Eagles, same division as the Dallas Cowboys. Really disappointing performance on Sunday. Look, there were a number of things that went wrong here, but first let's highlight what went right for the LA Rams, because I completely did not expect Sean McVay to have such a diverse, aggressive, and creative game plan. He clearly outcoached Schwartz, the defensive coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles. Just the motions and the pre-snap reads and the plays that he was calling, he literally dialed up everything at the exact right time, the exact right moment. It was a work of art, to be honest with you. It was probably the best game plan and play calling that I have ever seen Sean McVay execute. I was really impressed by what he delivered in Philadelphia. Now, let's turn the page to the Eagles. They got down big in this game. They rallied back. It was close at halftime. They come out in the second half, and they really did a good job. They shut down the Rams. First series, got the punt, driving all the way down the field, and they had a 1st and 10, probably like the 25-yard line of the Rams. And Carson Wentz, I'm not quite sure what he does sometimes. He seems to get ultra aggressive in moments, like he could fit the ball into any window, and sometimes that's good, but sometimes you kind of just have to feel what the team is doing and kind of what you're bringing to the table. And that was unnecessary, like forcing the ball into the end zone like that. It ended up being intercepted. The Rams got the ball, drove back down the field, and that was basically the game. I mean, that big swing, they could have had it, they lost it. and it was very difficult. It gets no easier for the Philadelphia Eagles because up next, they have to take on Joe Burrow and these Bengals, and that's an aggressive offense as well. I'm sure some of you already know this, but this is the same exact style of offense that Sean McVay was running in LA back in 2018. The aggressive philosophy, and one of his disciples is coaching the Bengals right now, and it's the same style of up-tempo, spread the field offense that Sean McVay was running back in 2018. So you know that they're going to take a lot of the things that worked from Sean McVay and incorporate them into this game. The Bengals off of extra rest because they played last Thursday. It's going to be a very tough test, another very difficult game for the Philadelphia Eagles out the gates. Let's now talk about the Kansas City Chiefs in this game against the LA Chargers. Obviously, Kansas City won this game late, but I'm really going to spend some time over the next couple of days digging into what exactly is going on with this Kansas City Chiefs offense, because it does not look like what we saw last season from them. The aggression offensively, the desire to really push the pace, push the tempo here. It seems like they're very complacent early on in the game, which is not something that we're really accustomed to. They are still passing the ball some, but they're being more balanced with the run game. They're incorporating a little bit more slower tempo into things. And it's almost like they just feel like they could come back in these games. And so there's less desire to really expend themselves early or to really put the pedal to the metal, so to speak. I really want to dig into what exactly is going on with this offense right now. Defensively, I think one thing is clear. These guys are struggling to stop the run. I mean, the first game didn't really showcase it, but they allowed David Johnson of the Houston Texans a ton of yards on the ground when he was carrying the ball. They allowed these LA Chargers running backs a ton of yards early on in this game. But the bigger story for LA was Herbert coming in a quarterback, because that was completely unexpected, in part because I'm very skeptical and don't take often things at their word. I thought that was very suspicious, slipping in Herbert at that last second. Now, supposedly everything's on the up and up. Tyrod Taylor really did go to the hospital, really did have some sort of chest issue. Was dealing with some ribs throughout the course of the week, but there was no indication that Justin Herbert was going to start. So Steve Spagnuolo of the Chiefs completely game planned for Tyrod Taylor. And this is where it becomes difficult when you're betting on games, because if I was betting on Tyrod Taylor, I'm doing what I did, which is I teased the Chiefs down, and I also took the LA Chargers under 20.5 points. That was my action on this game. But had I known that Justin Herbert was going to be out there, Herbert can throw the ball down the field. Herbert's a much bigger body. Herbert can take more in the pocket. They seem to be a little bit more creative with him converting throws down the field at times. Things that they weren't doing as much with Tyrod Taylor. So I don't know if the end result was different. I feel very fortunate. Obviously, the game went to overtime to get the teaser leg on the Chiefs to come home, because I got them at 2.5 and they won by 3. And for the Chargers not to score more than 20 points. Like, I got lucky because Justin Herbert was the quarterback. And so things fortunately went my way. But had I known Herbert was going to be the full-time starter, I'm definitely not looking to tease the Chargers down there. And certainly, if the Chiefs had the ability to prepare for Herbert the entire week, I don't think Herbert goes out and does what he does at the beginning of that game. Like, it literally, according to Adam Schefter, was very last second Herbert's coming in and being the starter here. And the Chiefs were prepared for Tyrod Taylor up until Herbert walks onto the football field as the starting quarterback. So it took Spagnuolo, the entire defense, by surprise. Had he been able to prepare for that all week long, I think this Chiefs defense does a little bit of a better job. One other game that I want to hit, because I really like this side, and that was the Indianapolis Colts. Look, they could have won this game by more points. This Colts team is going very slow and methodical, just like some of the Phillip Rivers Chargers teams have gone in the past. They're not super aggressive, but they ended up settling for a lot of field goals. They could have run this lead up a lot higher, but they had a lot of drives that stalled out in field goal range and ended up scoring field goals instead of touchdowns. But the bigger story here is Mike Zimmer's Minnesota Vikings. This was a team I bet against week 1. I bet against week 2. I took the under on their win total before the start of the season. And the lesson here is two-part. Number one, research the heck out of things over the off season. I spent a lot of time working on the Minnesota Vikings, and I did not like them at all. I did not like everybody in the NFC North was talking about the Green Bay Packers are going to regress. The Green Bay Packers are going to regress. They're not going to be the same as before. They're going to be a problem this year. And so the odds makers lowered their win total down to 9, whereas they won 13 games last year. And yes, they won some games that they shouldn't have won last year. I admit that, but there was zero value in fading the Packers. The odds maker already lowered their number way down. The Vikings, on the other hand, nobody was talking about fading the Vikings. Everybody's just talking about the Packers. But I looked at the Vikings. I saw a ton of things I did not like out of this squad. I didn't like the way that they were built this year. I didn't like the way that they were, frankly, on both sides of the ball. It has nothing to do with simply just Diggs. It's a lot more than Diggs being out here. There's parts on the offensive line. There's parts on the defensive line. That's secondary. They tried to build through the draft. They drafted 12 players. Trying to incorporate these young guys, trying to change up too many pieces in a COVID offseason. It just was never going to work. And so the goal here, obviously, two things. You're trying to do your research in the offseason. You figure out some value spots. For me, it was fading the Minnesota Vikings. And then as a bettor, you must take advantage of your research and not let off the gas. Fade them in the offseason, bet their under, bet them not to make the playoffs, bet against them week 1, and then bet them against them week 2. Like, you're looking for spots to take them. So I'm not saying continue to bet against the Vikings every single week of the season, right? But this is why you put in the work in the offseason, and you have to back that up with putting your money where your mouth is and betting against the team. This team, Mike Zimmer, some of his comments in the post game clearly illustrate the frustrations of an old school style football coach who can't really understand why things are falling the way that they are. This is just an old school football team in a new school era, and they're not getting the support of the run game quite as much. They're not getting the support of a good quarterback or a good defense. And they've got to change some things offensively, but I just don't think Kirk Cousins plays the style of quarterback and has the right qualities to play that comfort behind, aggressive, rally the team. We're going to have to score 30 points to win games here. Unfortunately, that's the type of defense that they have. Not every offense is going to be able to put up close to 30 points against them, but they don't really have the style of defense that's capable of holding other teams down to very low volumes unless it's a really bad offense. And last but not least, the Buffalo Bills. Geez, great performance once again. Brian Daboll, offensive coordinator for the Bills, getting a very aggressive style, a very aggressive approach, really emphasizing the strengths of Josh Allen, doing some things that people probably didn't think Josh Allen should do. There are a lot of people this offseason who are talking about you got to hide Josh Allen. You can't really expose him. You got to build your team around him. Don't let Josh Allen hold you back, like his lack of passing. You got to have a good run game and a good defense. But you know, Brian Daboll said, screw all that. We're coming out aggressively, throwing the football, using Josh Allen, using his arm strength down the field, passing on early downs. Really fabulous strategy by Brian Daboll, execution by Josh Allen and the rest of this football team. Really fun team to watch. So there you go, guys. A number of instant reactions. Looking forward to breaking down week 2 through the articles that we're going to put out, the videos that we're going to record this week, and really looking forward to what I think is going to be a very exciting week 3. It's going to be hard to top week 2. This was a really fun day of football, a lot of really good games in the 1 o'clock time frame, the 4 o'clock time frame. Sunday night football was great. I think Monday night football is going to be better than a lot of people think too. A pretty exciting game in my opinion on Monday night when the Saints take on the Raiders. Hope you guys tune in for that one, and we will talk to you later.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.